If you spend every day trying to be liked, when do you actually get to live as yourself? Let's be real for a second. Most of us were raised to believe that being agreeable makes us lovable. That if we're nice enough, helpful enough, low maintenance enough, people will accept us. So we learn to smile when we're tired, to nod when we want to say no, and to keep showing up in roles we never even chose. But here's the truth no one ever told us. You can't build a real life out of other people's expectations, and you don't need permission to be who you already are. See the approval you're chasing? It's like a shadow. It follows you, but you'll never hold it. And every day you spend chasing it, you're drifting further from your real self, the one that's been whispering underneath the noise, "This isn't me. I want something more." This video isn't just feel-good advice, it's a wake-up call. We're diving into 6 powerful truths, rooted in Buddhist wisdom and grounded in real life, that will help you stop performing and start returning to you. Because you're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to be whole. And when you start living from that place, trust me, everything changes. Lesson 1. The quiet cost of always pleasing people. Let's talk about something most people don't even realize they're doing. Trying to be everything for everyone, at the cost of your own soul. It doesn't usually happen all at once. You don't just wake up one day and say, "I think I'll forget who I am today." No, it's slower than that. It starts small. You agree to something you didn't want to do. You bite your tongue when you should have spoken up. You smile, when deep down you're tired, overwhelmed, or even angry. And you tell yourself, "It's no big deal. I'm just being nice." But here's the thing. Every time you say yes when your heart says no, every time you stay quiet when your truth is begging to speak, you chip away at your sense of self, just a little. It's like tiny cracks forming in your foundation. You may not notice them right away, but over time, you start to feel hollow, disconnected, lost. You look in the mirror and think, "Who even am I anymore?" And still, we keep doing it. Because we've been taught that being easy to be around is more important than being real. That it's better to keep the peace than to keep your boundaries. That saying no is selfish. But bending yourself in half to make others comfortable? That's called being a good person. Let me say this as clearly as I can. You are not here to disappear for someone else's comfort. You are not here to become a watered-down version of yourself just so you don't ruffle any feathers. Real peace isn't pretending to be okay with everything. It's being honest with yourself and living in alignment with that honesty. That means learning how to say no, gently but firmly. It means pausing to ask, "Do I actually want this? Or am I just afraid to disappoint someone?" It means realizing that pleasing people isn't love. It's survival. And you weren't born to survive everyone's expectations. You were born to live fully in your truth. So here's your reflection for today. Where in your life have you been slowly disappearing just to be accepted? And what would it look like if you stopped? Because the cost of always pleasing others is this. You forget how to please yourself. Lesson 2. Why silence isn't the same as peace. Here's something that might sting a little. Just because you're quiet doesn't mean you're at peace. We confuse the two all the time. We think, if I'm not arguing, I must be calm. If I'm not pushing back, I must be kind. But often, what we call kindness is actually self-abandonment in disguise. Think about it. How many times have you smiled through discomfort? Agreed to something that made your stomach twist? Said it's fine when your whole body was screaming it's not? And the world around you claps. Wow, you're so easygoing. Such a peacemaker. But the truth is, you're disappearing. Silence, when it's forced, isn't peace. It's pressure. It's swallowing your voice because you're afraid of rocking the boat. It's editing yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. And here's the dangerous part. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Until one day, you've silenced yourself so much. You can't even hear your own truth anymore. I've seen this in people of all ages, especially women over 50. They've spent decades being polite, agreeable, selfless. But when the noise settles, they realize, I don't even know what I want anymore. That's not peace. That's disconnection. Real peace doesn't ask you to vanish. It invites you to show up, with honesty, boundaries, and presence. It says, you don't have to yell, but you do have to speak. You don't have to fight, but you do have to stand. And sometimes, the most peaceful thing you can do is say no, or walk away, or simply speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. So here's something to reflect on. Where have you been calling silence peace, when it's really just fear in disguise? And what would it look like to stop apologizing for your truth? You don't need to perform calmness. You need to return to your center, the place where your truth doesn't require permission. Because peace isn't just the absence of conflict. It's the presence of you, fully, openly, without shrinking. Lesson 3. Rise without apology. Let go of the need to be liked. Let me ask you something real simple, but real uncomfortable. How much of your life have you spent trying to be liked? Not loved, not respected, just liked. By coworkers, by family, by strangers on the internet. We tell ourselves it's harmless. We just want to get along, to not cause drama, to be easy to love. But let's be honest. Sometimes what we're really doing is shrink-wrapping our truth so we don't get judged. And here's the wild part. Even when it works, even when people like us, it doesn't feel that good. Because deep down we know. They're not liking the real us. They're liking the performance. The version we curated to fit the moment. The version we hoped would go down smooth. But what does that cost? It costs your voice, your dreams, your damn energy. And the worst part? Once you start chasing approval, it never ends. Because approval is addictive. One compliment and you're up. One side eye or silence and you're questioning your entire life. That's not peace. That's prison. Here's the Buddhist truth. Attachment to being liked is a form of suffering. The more we cling to it, the more we betray ourselves. And let's get this clear. Letting go of the need to be liked doesn't mean becoming rude or arrogant. It means this. You stop negotiating your worth based on someone else's reaction. You stop making yourself smaller just so others feel taller. You stop explaining your truth like it's a court case, because the sun doesn't ask permission to rise. It just rises. Some people will bask in its warmth. Some will hide in the shade. Either way, it still shines. You don't need to be everyone's cup of tea. You just need to be your own damn home. So ask yourself this. Where in your life are you still bending to fit? And what would it look like to stand, rooted and real, even if it means standing alone? Because when you stop trying to be liked and start trying to be whole, that's when your life actually begins. Lesson 4. Why honoring yourself is the beginning of real compassion. Let's talk about something we've been taught backwards our whole lives. We're told, be selfless, give, serve, put others first. And sure, there's beauty in generosity. But somewhere along the way, many of us learned that being a good person means forgetting ourselves entirely. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. We call burnout dedication. We give until there's nothing left to give, and then we feel guilty for needing rest. Sound familiar? But here's the truth. Nobody told us. You can't light the world with a flame that's burning out. Compassion doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Buddhist wisdom flips the script. It says, true compassion begins with the self. Not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. Imagine trying to fill 1,000 cups with a pitcher that's already empty. What pours out isn't love, it's resentment, irritability, fatigue. But when you honor your own needs, when you tend to your mind, your body, your soul, what you give others becomes real. It's calm, it's generous, it's full of heart. That's the kind of giving that heals, not drains. So what does it look like to honor yourself? Sometimes it's setting a boundary and sticking to it. Sometimes it's saying, "Not today," when you're running on fumes. Sometimes it's admitting that you're not okay and giving yourself space to breathe without guilt, because self-respect isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It tells the world, "I value myself enough not to disappear. I'm not here to be everything for everyone. I'm here to be whole." And here's the beautiful part. When you start showing up for yourself, you give other people permission to do the same. You become a quiet revolution in a world that worships overwork and self-denial. So today, ask yourself this: am I giving from a place of fullness, or am I just running on autopilot? What would it look like to treat my own well-being as sacred? Because the most powerful love you'll ever give is the one that starts with you. Lesson 5. When you create for your soul, not the crowd. Let me ask you something deep. When was the last time you did something just because it lit you up inside? Not because someone was watching, liking, or clapping. We live in a world that's loud with metrics. Likes, shares, comments, applause. And without realizing it, we start creating, not from the soul, but from a scoreboard. We begin editing our ideas, our voice, our passions to fit the algorithm. And suddenly, what once felt alive now feels like performance. It's like being an artist who used to paint for joy, but now won't touch a brush unless the gallery approves. But here's the truth. Your soul doesn't care about the audience. It cares about expression. It cares about authenticity. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, peace begins the moment you stop performing for the world and start living from your truth. So what does that look like? It's writing a poem and not posting it. It's dancing in your kitchen without filming it. It's choosing a path that no one understands, but feels right in your bones. It's creating something, not to be seen, but to be whole. And here's the kicker. When you create from alignment, not validation, what you make carries real energy. It doesn't just impress people, it moves them, because it came from somewhere real. You don't need to go viral to make an impact. You need to go inward. So here's your reflection today. What would I still do, even if nobody noticed? What kind of life would I build if the only approval I needed was my own? Because when you stop chasing applause and start honoring your inner voice, you don't just feel free, you become magnetic. You attract the people, opportunities, and peace that were meant for the real you. Not the curated version, not the filtered one, but the soul-lit, fully alive, unapologetic you. So go create something today. Not for them, for you. Lesson 6. You were never meant to be bargained with. Let's clear something up right now. You're not a product. You're not a brand. And you were never meant to be bargained with. But somewhere along the way, we started acting like we were. We began trading pieces of ourselves for love, approval, or just a seat at the table. We shrunk our opinions to keep the peace. We changed our tone to sound more likable. We twisted ourselves into knots, hoping someone would finally say, "You're enough." But here's the truth you forgot. You were already enough before you even tried. Think of a diamond. It doesn't apologize for how it shines. It doesn't need a certificate from the market to know it's valuable. It just is. And yet, most of us walk around like our worth is negotiable. We hand it over to strangers online, to people we're dating, to our bosses, our families, and we say, "Tell me if I matter. Tell me I'm enough." But guess what? That's not self-worth. That's dependence. And it's exhausting. Buddhist wisdom teaches us, you, yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your own love and affection. Not when you hit a goal, not when you lose weight, not when you get more followers. Now, right now, as you are. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to earn your place in the world. You were born with it. So stop shrinking to fit someone else's comfort. Stop apologizing for your presence. Stop asking the world to confirm what you already know deep down. Here's your reflection for today. Where am I still negotiating my worth? Who have I given the power to decide if I'm enough? Take it back. Not with arrogance, but with clarity. Because when you know your value, you stop explaining it. You just live it, quietly, firmly, fully. And those who can't see it, that's their limitation, not yours. You're not here to convince anyone of your worth. You're here to remember it and live like it's non-negotiable, because it is. Lesson 7. Stop making yourself small. You were born to be whole. Let's be honest. There comes a point in life when you get tired of making yourself smaller just to fit in. Tired of biting your tongue to keep the peace. Tired of shrinking your joy so no one feels insecure. Tired of folding yourself up, neat and polite, just to stay likable. And when that moment hits, it's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet. Like a whisper inside that says, I can't do this anymore. Maybe you've been feeling it lately. Like you're living in a life that's one size too small. You've been playing it safe, trying to keep everyone comfortable, except yourself. But here's the thing. You were not born to be manageable. You were born to be whole. Buddhism doesn't ask us to become something we're not. It asks us to return to who we were before the world told us to shrink. And the truth is, real healing doesn't begin when you're finally accepted. It begins when you stop needing to be. It starts when you say, this is my truth, this is my voice, this is my space, and I'm done apologizing for it. You don't need to explain your sensitivity. You don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't need to dim your light so other people feel okay in the dark. Because the world doesn't need more carbon copies. It needs you, bold, kind, messy, beautiful, human. So here's your reflection today. Where are you still hiding? Where are you still waiting for permission to be yourself? And most importantly, what would your life look like if you finally stopped asking? What if you stopped editing your soul like it was a resume, stopped rehearsing your truth like it was a speech, and just lived it? No more shrinking, no more waiting, no more folding yourself up to fit inside other people's limits. Because when you live as your full self without apology, without performance, you don't just feel free, you become free. So here we are, at the end of this video, but maybe at the beginning of something else. If there's one thing I hope you take from today, it's this. You don't need to be understood to be whole. You don't need to be liked to be real. You don't need applause to know your truth matters. The peace you're looking for? It's not out there in someone's approval. It's not hiding behind success or perfection or performance. It's been inside you the whole time, quiet, steady, waiting. And I know it's hard. It's hard to stop living for others when you've been doing it for years. It's scary to say, this is me, when you're not sure how people will respond. But I promise you, there's a freedom on the other side that's worth it. A calm that doesn't depend on anyone else showing up. A joy that doesn't ask for permission. So today, I invite you to start small. Say no when you mean no. Say yes when it lights you up. Take up space. Speak with your full voice. And don't water yourself down just to be easier to digest. Because when you finally stop shrinking, stop bargaining, stop performing, you don't just come home to yourself. You become the home. And the people who belong in your life, they'll recognize you without needing you to be anything less. So tell me in the comments, what part of this video spoke to your heart today? Where are you ready to stop performing and start returning to who you really are? Your words might be the light someone else needs, and I read every one. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to hit that like button. Share this with someone who's been trying too hard to be everything for everyone. And if you want more videos like this, real, reflective, grounded in wisdom, subscribe and turn on that bell. This channel isn't just content. It's a space for your soul to rest, to remember, to grow. Until next time, stay honest, stay rooted, and above all, stay you.